1881, a British courtroom. Thomas Edison's lawyers are sweating because the evidence is clear. Someone else invented the light bulb first, demonstrated it publicly, and has the patents to prove it. Edison is about to lose everything in Britain. The man who beat him was a quiet, unassuming chemist from Newcastle, a man history has almost completely forgotten. His name was Joseph Swan, and this is the story of how he lit the world before Edison, then watched as Edison took all the credit. So how did Swan do it first? How did he light up London's most prestigious theatre while Edison was still experimenting? And why don't we learn his name in school? December 18th, 1878, Newcastle upon Tyne, England. A lecture hall where gas lamps flicker against cold stone walls, casting dancing shadows. About 200 people sit in wooden chairs that creak with every shift. Scientists mostly, engineers, the curious, all bundled in their heavy Victorian coats against the December chill. An older man walks to the front, Joseph Wilson Swan, 56 years old, balding and bearded. The kind of person you would pass on the street and never notice. He is holding something small, a glass bulby no bigger than your fist. Inside it, a thin strand glows orange, carbonized paper heated to incandescence. Swan speaks quietly and says, "We will have electric light." The bulb shines bright and steady, and the room goes silent. Then suddenly, crack. The filament overheats and shatters. The light dies and darkness swallows the room whole. For a moment, nobody moves. But Swan is not worried, because what the audience does not know is this: he has been working on this problem for 28 years. Most people think the light bulb was invented in a moment. One man, one idea, one breakthrough. That is not how it happened. The light bulb was hunted for decades by multiple people across continents. Joseph Swan started in 1850 when Thomas Edison was 3 years old. Swan was young then, in his 20s, a chemist with no reputation who wondered if electricity could create light without fire, without gas, without heat. Not because he wanted to be famous, because every night gas lamps filled homes with smoke and danger, killed people in their sleep, burned down buildings. If he could make light from electricity, he could save lives. In 1860, he built something impossible, a working lamp with a carbon filament inside a partial vacuum, glowing with electric light. He patented it with a British patent number, documented and filed, official proof that he had done it first. Then everything stopped because the world was not ready for what he had built. Vacuum pumps were garbage, power sources unreliable, and Swan's bulbs glowed for minutes, maybe hours, then burned out. The technology worked in theory, but not in practice. Not yet. Not when it mattered. So Swan put it away at 30 years old, a working light bulb and nowhere to use it. A solution to a problem the world was not ready to admit it had. He turned to photography instead, got married, built a life, and tried to forget about electric light. But some dreams do not die, they just wait. It is 1878, nearly 30 years later, and the world has changed around him. Better vacuum pumps exist now, electrical systems are improving, and the moment Swan has been waiting for has finally arrived. He goes back to his lab in Gateshead, working alone and quiet, with no team and no funding, just Swan, his hands, and 28 years of failure he refuses to accept. He treats cotton threads with sulfuric acid to create parchmentized carbon filaments that are stronger than paper and more durable. He refines the vacuum inside the bulb, tests it, adjusts and tests again. Months pass while nobody knows he is doing this. By December 1878, he is ready and walks into that lecture hall holding proof he was right all along. The bulb glows, then dies, but Swan is already planning the next demonstration. He knows what went wrong and how to fix it. What he does not know yet is that this failure is about to become his greatest success. 6 weeks later, on February the 3rd, 1879, in the same city but in a bigger room, the Newcastle Literary and Philosophical Society. Word has spread and over 700 people show up, including scientists, businessmen, the curious and the skeptical. Swan takes the stage, and this time he has brought 20 lamps, all working and ready. The gas lamps are burning, lighting the room the way they always have been, smoky, dim, Victorian. Swan gives the signal, and someone flips a switch. Every gas lamp goes out at once, plunging 700 people into pitch black. For a second, there is nothing but darkness. Then 20 electric bulbs ignite simultaneously, and the entire hall floods with brilliant white light, bright, clean, perfect, not flickering, not smoking, just light. The audience does not cheer, but stares in silent wonder. One of Swan's bulbs will run for 40 hours in testing, not minutes, but 40 hours straight. That is proof that this is no longer just a laboratory trick. Local newspapers run the story the next day. It spreads through Britain, and scientific societies take notice. The real revolution has started, but across the Atlantic, someone else is reading those same newspapers. Most inventors stop here, treating demonstration as success and calling it time to celebrate. Swan did something different. He proved it worked in the real world. By late 1880, he had perfected a better filament, chemically treated cotton that he patented as British patent number 4933 on November 27, 1880. Then he started installing his invention everywhere. First place, his own house, Underhill in Gateshead, which Swan wired for electric light, the first private residence in the world. When neighbours walked past at night, they stopped and stared at something impossible. A house glowing from inside with steady, unwavering light, no flicker of flame, no smell of gas, just pure electric brilliance pouring through the windows. Next came the Newcastle Literary and Philosophical Society in October 1880, marking the first public building in the world completely lit by electricity. But the real test was still coming. London, October 1881. Richard D'Oyly Carte had just built the Savoy Theatre, one of the most prestigious venues in the world, and opening night was the event of the season. D'Oyly Carte wanted Swan's lights, so over 1,200 bulbs were installed with an 88-kilowatt generator running nearby. The entire theatre, from the lobby to the auditorium and the stage, was wired exclusively with Swan's electric light, an installation that was truly exclusively Swan's. On December the 28th, 1881, opening night arrived, and the theatre was packed with London high society, the cream of the city expecting gas lighting and the usual experience. Instead, D'Oyly Carte walked onto the stage holding one of Swan's bulbs, glowing, bright, hot, but safe. He did not give a speech, but smashed the bulb against the stage floor. The bulb shatters and the light dies, but 1,199 others are still burning above them. The message was clear: this is safe, and this is the future. A plaque would be mounted at the Savoy years later, reading, "The first public building in the world to be lit throughout by electricity." Every bulb came from Joseph Swan. While Swan was lighting up Britain, something else was happening across the Atlantic. Thomas Edison made an announcement in late 1878. He said he would invent a practical electric light. This was big news in America, where Edison was already famous as a showman who understood publicity better than most. Newspapers wrote about it, the public got excited, and Edison became the face of innovation. His team experimented with metal filaments, platinum, tungsten, but nothing worked. For nearly a year they failed repeatedly. Then in October 1879, something changed when someone on Edison's team read an article in Scientific American. It described Swan's experiments, Swan's success with carbon filaments, and Swan's working prototype. Edison read it. He understood immediately. He told his team that carbon was the answer. By October the 21st, 1879, just 2 weeks later, Edison's team had built a working carbon filament bulb. Edison announced it to the world with a massive New Year's Eve demonstration. The press came, the public came, and Edison became the face of the light bulb in America. But here is the problem. Edison did not discover carbon filaments himself. He had read about them in a magazine article about Swan's work. Edison took Swan's idea and refined it, using a higher resistance filament and creating a better vacuum, while building a system where multiple bulbs could be wired in parallel. Edison's genius was not inventing the light bulb, but engineering the system around it, building generators and creating infrastructure. And that difference is what would change everything. But that is not how the story got told. By 1881, Edison wanted to expand into Britain, where the market was valuable and profitable. But there was a problem. Swan had patents, Swan had demonstrations, and Swan had literally lit London. Swan was already there. So Edison's lawyers filed for British patents, and Swan's lawyers responded with a lawsuit, Swan versus the Edison Electric Light Company, 1881 in Britain. The question was simple. Who invented the practical light bulb first? Swan's lawyers presented evidence, Swan's 1860 patent, Swan's 1878 demonstration, Swan's 1880 patent, all documented, all public, all before Edison's British filings. The British courts did not hesitate and ruled for Swan in a clear and definitive judgment. Swan had prior art. He had demonstrated it first. In Britain, Swan won. Remember that courtroom we started with? Edison's lawyers sweating, knowing they would lose? This is why Edison's lawyers thought about fighting. They filed a countersuit claiming Edison's US patent should matter. It was a bluff. Both sides knew it. If the case went to trial, Swan's lawyers would introduce his 1878 publications and his demonstrations proving Edison's patent was invalid. Edison would lose everything in Britain, so Edison blinked. His representatives went to Swan with a proposal, asking what if we did not fight? What if we merged? October 1883 saw the birth of the Edison and Swan United Electric Light Company. Two rival inventors with competing designs merged into one company that became known as Edison. On paper, both men were co-founders, but in reality, Edison was in America, distracted, while Swan was in England, actually running the factory and overseeing production. The bulbs combined both designs, Swan's superior vacuum technique and Edison's high-resistance filament, making them better than either could have made alone. But the name was telling. Edison's name came first. Even though Swan won the lawsuit, even though Swan did it first, even though Swan was running the company, Edison's name came first because Edison had something Swan did not: a global brand, a mythology, and a story already spreading worldwide. People believed that Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Once a story gets told enough times, it becomes true, even if it is not. Here is the thing about Joseph Swan. He never fought for credit. He was kind, unassuming, and modest, once saying his only aim was to produce a useful light. Not fame, not glory, not his name in textbooks, just to make light that worked. You would think that would make him bitter watching Edison's star rise. But Swan, he just kept working. He did not go on speaking tours or declare himself a genius, did not tell newspapers he had done it first. He just kept working in Newcastle, quietly, while the world learned about Edison. By the early 1900s, the myth was set in stone. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. That is what school books said, what newspapers wrote, what history believed. Swan was occasionally mentioned as a footnote, described as a British inventor who did something similar but was not really important. Swan received recognition in Britain, where he was knighted in 1904 and honoured locally. But outside Britain, he was forgotten. When people looked at light bulbs, they saw Edison's name, and when school children learned about innovation, they heard Edison's story. By the time Swan died in 1904, his moment had already passed. His wife Hannah outlived him by 8 years, and his company Edison continued producing bulbs for decades before being absorbed into larger corporations, the name fading with time. So why did Edison win the narrative? There are three reasons. First, Edison built a complete system. Swan invented the bulb, an incredible proof of concept. Edison built the infrastructure around it: generators, wiring, distribution networks, power stations. He opened the first central power station in New York City in 1882, putting electric light in people's homes at the flip of a switch. Swan invented the technology. Edison invented the future. Second, geography mattered. Swan was in Newcastle, in industrial England, where his work stayed regional. Britain knew about him, but America was rising, and American innovations got global attention while British innovations often stayed local. Third, Edison understood narrative. Edison knew something Swan did not. Inventing something is only half the battle. You also have to make people believe you invented it. Edison staged demonstrations for reporters, made announcements, called himself the Wizard of Menlo Park, and created an image while telling a story. Swan published in academic journals, gave lectures to scientific societies, and let his work speak for itself. One approach spread worldwide, while the other stayed in Newcastle. Here is what matters now, more than 100 years later. It is not really about light bulbs, but about innovation and how it actually happens. Not in moments of genius, but in decades of work by multiple people building on each other. Swan proved electric light was possible, and Edison proved electric light could transform civilization. Both contributions were essential, and neither was complete without the other. But we only remember one name, and that is not a failure of history. That is how narrative works. The person who builds the system wins over the person who builds the component. The person who tells the story wins over the person who does the work. The person who becomes a legend understands how to make that happen. There is still a plaque on Swan's old house in Gateshead that reads, "First private residence in the world to be lit by incandescent electric light." At the Savoy Theatre in London, there is another plaque that reads, "The first public building in the world to be lit throughout by electricity." And if you look closely, you will see a name, Joseph Swan, not Edison. In a way, that is how Swan won, not through fame, not through mythology, but through proof, through the places that still stand, the buildings that still exist, the lights that still burn. In Newcastle and London, you can still see Swan's work and walk through the places he lit up. Edison's legacy is his brand, his name, his story, but Swan's legacy is everywhere, in every electric light, in every powered city. In every moment, humanity stopped burning fire and started capturing electricity. Swan did not invent the light bulb to become famous, but because he believed it would change the world. And it did. Every time you flip a switch, you are using what Swan created. Every lit room, every powered city, every moment we take light for granted. That is his legacy. He was just too busy working to notice someone else was taking credit.